Hello again, and as promised at the end of my last video, here is the Imperial on Imperial mirror match. Blair will be flying with Echo with Advanced Cloaking Device, Veteran Instincts and Reconnaissance Specialist, Royal Guard Pilot with Push Limit, and Bounty Hunter with Reconnaissance Specialist. Hamish flying the same list as his in the previous game, so Echo with Advanced Cloaking Device and Veteran Instincts, and Royal Guard Pilot with Push Limit with the hull upgrade, and the Bounty Hunter with Reconnaissance Specialist. So obviously the difference being the Reconnaissance Specialist on Echo versus the hull upgrade on the Royal Guard Pilot in Hamish's list. Very interesting, just trying to test this list out for upcoming event. And here we go, as usual. Set up, and Hamish moving first, so indeed he won the initiative. Now we've had some fairly ongoing debate as to whether or not initiative is actually preferred, particularly in this instance where you have an almost identical mirror match. Just for reference, I will be flying with the yellow Bounty Hunter, Crisis Painted Bounty Hunter, and the Blood Striped Interceptor, whilst Hamish will be playing with the standard Boba Fett Painted Bounty Hunter and the Red Interceptor. So here we have first manoeuvres. Haven't actually played a flanker versus flanker list before, so it appears that most of the time you're just going to do some mirrored actions on the first movement. It's just going to be a 5 straight and a banked boost with the interceptors. Usually a bit of a slow roll with the bounty hunters, and of course Echo usually just performs a 4 straight followed by a cloaking action. Now in this particular instance, I have actually pushed the limit there with my Royal Guard Pilot to just try and create a bit more angle with regards to the next turn, and have Echo catch up a little bit on the next manoeuvring. So there we go, Hamish moving his Echo and just taking the excuse me, the cloaking action as well. And here we go, obviously the remaining Echo being my one, just doing its 4 forward, and of course it will just take the focus action as well, the cloak action as well. So yeah, pretty much mirrored flight paths at this stage. To some extent, mine are a little bit more spread out, but as you'll see in the next set of manoeuvres, very intentionally done so. So here we have Hamish's Bounty Hunter performing a 3 bank, just coming around an asteroid there, I believe. And obviously a very good chance that there will be combat this turn. Excuse me. So just perform a Reconnaissance Specialist action for the 2 focus tokens. Here we have my Bounty Hunter just going a bit slower on this engagement, just basically trying to slow down and wait for the Interceptor and the Phantom to catch up, if that makes any sense, and obviously just taking a focus action with the Reconnaissance Specialist there. Now here's where it starts to get a bit interesting. Hamish deliberately pushing his Interceptor into the Bounty Hunter here, performing somewhat of a shielding action. Obviously going to be hiding in the background, but the question is whether or not it will actually be shooting this turn, depending on where my Interceptor and Phantom end up. So taking a bit of a gamble, getting his Interceptor in there. Obviously no actions as well because it's bumping into the back of his Bounty Hunter, but we'll wait and see how that happens, what happens there. So here we have obviously my Interceptor having pushed the limit last turn, somewhat restricting its its movements, so obviously taking a 2 green bank just to shed the stress there. And as you can see there, a nice straight line. It's out of arc of the Bounty Hunter there, just checking obviously, and so just opting to go for the just a straight boost. Obviously you don't get a lot of extra distance with the straight boost as you do with the banked boost, but just also pushing the limit to take a focus token, so just opening up and seeing what's happening. So there we have Hamish decloaking with his Echo, and very deftly just sliding in there nice and neatly next to the bounty hunter. I had a feeling he might bump into the back of the bounty hunter as well, but as it turns out, just managing to sneak past. And here we have obviously Hamish just waiting to make a decision as to what his pilot, his Echo, is going to be doing for the turn. It was pretty marginal as to whether or not Echo has arc on the Royal Guard pilot at this stage. So just getting up and eyeballing it, it's right on the line there, just discussing about the use of laser levels in some people, but obviously they're only legitimate to be used for when firing, so just really looking down the line of this one. And indeed I believe that the decision is in the end to actually barrel roll back behind the asteroid there, obviously not getting a focus token this turn, but planning to use the asteroid as a defensive tool. Obviously I'll probably roll them out of distance from my bounty hunter, and indeed will certainly roll them into an arc to be able to fire upon my Royal Guard pilot, should he so choose to shoot at him, unless of course my Echo will be in range potentially by the time it decloaks and makes its manoeuvre as well. So yeah, more debate as to the benefits and drawbacks of reconnaissance specialist here, I believe. Certainly of my opinion that particularly in this sort of instance it's far better to have that than obviously the hull upgrade that Hamish has on the Royal Guard pilot. However, many players are of the opinion that the Rebel Captive is actually the best option in that particular instance. I'm still not convinced myself, though my own anecdotal evidence usually seems to be that having the additional focus token on Echo allows you to be more aggressive with the focus on attack, whilst having one in reserve, more or less making it similar to Whisper in that regard, obviously, where Whisper's ability granting a free focus if you deal damage during your attack. So there we go, obviously just barrel rolling behind the asteroid, and here we have my Echo doing a 2-bank decloak. Now just a little bit concerned just looking at it that might end up crashing into the back of the Royal Guard, and I believe most certainly could have nicked it perhaps had the the interceptor not pushed the limit, but as the case is, Echo does manage to slide in quite nicely right next to the Royal Guard pilot, and of course just deciding to use the reconnaissance specialists with focus, just grabbing some extra focus tokens out of the box there. And yeah, the only list I know of where you only have 3 ships but need 5 focus tokens. So moving on to shooting, so obviously Hamish's Echo hiding behind the asteroid over there will be firing at range 3 to hit my Echo. So just debating as to how many dice each ship will have available to it. It's going to be, I believe it was 4 defense dice for Echo at range 3 behind an asteroid. Oh no, it must have been not behind an asteroid. So there we have rolling 3 focused die, so dodging all of the hits from Hamish's Echo. Obviously Hamish's Echo recloaking with his advanced cloaking device. But here we have my Echo returning fire, and indeed with the reconnaissance specialist giving the 2 focus, having the ability to spend the focus on defense, and then certainly here on attack as well. So just rolling 3 damage there, and unfortunately for Hamish, not having anything of relevance, just rolling 1 dodge, so taking 2 damage, removing 2 Echo's 2 shields. So not looking good for Echo at this stage. And indeed, here we have Hamish checking to see if his Royal Guard pilot that crashed into the back of the bounty hunter actually has range, and it turns out it doesn't. So first engagement, 3 ship on 3 ship with 1 ship not firing, certainly puts a dent in your damage capabilities in that first crucial engagement. So here we have my Royal Guard pilot firing at the at Echo, and indeed just spending the focus to kick it up to 3 hits. And once again, Hamish rolling 3 blanks, an eyeball, and a dodge, and taking 2 more damage. So unfortunately for Hamish's Echo, it has been blown out of the sky on the first engagement. So again, one of my biggest bugbears with the Phantom is that you really do need to save focus for defence if you can, and indeed and really only barrel roll if you really must, to either get out of an arc, or if you perhaps roll into arc at range 1 perhaps. So yes, excuse me, sorry, Hamish just here discussing the ins and outs of exactly what dodges and focuses are on the evade dice, but certainly really looking like an uphill battle here for Hamish. So here we have bounty hunters being able to shoot at each other, and obviously the just believe that it was actually determined that it did have arc on the interceptor, and just firing at range 3 and rolling enough dodges to prevent any damage getting through on the Royal Guard pilot. So here we have my bounty hunter returning fire at obviously at range 3, obviously with a couple of focus points there to spend, and indeed just rolling 3 naked hits on that one, and Hamish not overly amused at how well my dice have been rolling and how poorly his have been rolling this game thus far. So obviously he'll have 3 defense dice with some focus tokens from his own reconnaissance specialist, and just rolling enough dodges and focus die to dodge all the damage there. So moving on to the next round of manoeuvres. So Hamish's bounty hunter just doing a gentle bank there, obviously hoping that all my ships will fly past into his rear firing arc, and indeed my bounty hunter doing a very similar manoeuvre. As is with these lists, you generally run your bounty hunter out as a screening blocker to soak up some of the damage whilst your flankers come in and around the edges. Obviously didn't work so well for my bounty hunter. Obviously Hamish predicting my manoeuvres and flying his interceptor right into range 1 of my bounty hunter and the bounty hunter's blind spot. And here we have my interceptor doing a 2-turn to obviously shed the stress, just managing to make it past the bounty hunter as it's just flown past, so obviously shedding the stress, and obviously just an arc of the Hamish's bounty hunter at this point, so decide to do a 1 banked boost, just sneak into the blind spot there, and I do believe that push the limit for a focus token as well to push through some additional damage on the bounty hunter. And here we have obviously the remaining Echo on the table, deciding how and where to bank. Obviously to decloak. Obviously the asteroid there making it a bit awkward for me. My ideal manoeuvre being blocked, so having to perform a decloak that it was not ideal for the manoeuvre I had picked 4 eco in this particular instance. And indeed, unfortunately, only pulling a 1 turn, so turning away from the location of the interceptor and the bounty hunter, so having to take the cloak token, much to Hamish's amusement, as you can see. And so here we have firing. So as it so happens, we have Hamish's Royal Guard pilot shooting, and just spending the focus there for 3 hits on the 4 hits on the bounty hunter, and just 1 eyeball there for the bounty hunter. So 3 shields coming off of the bounty hunter at range 1 from the interceptor. Possibly could have shot at echo at that point, obviously, but here we have my interceptor obviously returning fire on his bounty hunter, but not quite dealing quite as much damage, so just reducing the shields to 2 on Hamish's bounty hunter. And here we have his bounty hunter shooting at excuse me, at my bounty hunter once again, and just not quite seeing what happened there. And here we have my bounty hunter returning fire, and indeed removing just 1 more shield. So moving on to the next turn. So fairly even in terms of damage for the obviously for the bounty hunter and the Royal Guard pilot, but obviously still having a healthy eco on my team puts me at an advantage during this turn. So here we have Hamish's bounty hunter moving ever so slowly forward yet again, and taking a reconnaissance specialist. My bounty hunter obviously not not wanting to get too far away from the fight, decides to perform a 3k turn. Hopefully the Royal Guard pilot manages to fly past far enough that he can't shoot at the bounty hunter, yet the bounty hunter might be able to shoot back at the interceptor. So obviously just receiving a stress there for that movement. So obviously Hamish's Royal Guard pilot here just doing a hard 2 turn in behind my interceptor, and certainly one of the instances where having the initiative is has been not ideal for Hamish. Obviously wants to boost around further in behind my interceptor, knowing that my one will be flying off to the left most likely, but obviously can't perform that action at this point because of where mine is. So here just debating as to what solution is best to try and get around and get an arc on my interceptor if possible. Just checking to see if he can make the boost, but once he got the template in there, it seemed quite clear that I wasn't going to make it in this particular instance. So yeah, indeed, just debating what manoeuvre to take at this point. It does in fact, in a vain attempt to try and get an arc on my ship, decides to do a barrel roll backwards, and then performs the banked boost as his push the limit action. And fortunately my opponent has just been replaced by the resident house cat at this point, but I'm sure Hamish will return shortly. And here we see me performing the 2 turn as was predicted, and indeed obviously still just an arc now, but obviously my plan will be to boost around to get out of arc of the interceptor, and just trying to do a barrel roll to try and skip out of the arc of Hamish's bounty hunter, but unfortunately not quite making it. Just would have landed on the asteroid, so having to go back, and I believe the action was in fact to push the limit to take and an evade token in the end on that one. So there we go, just grabbing the evade and the stress for pushing the limit. And indeed, here we have Echo trying to decide how to decloak once again, and indeed, once again, not quite getting the manoeuvring correct, unfortunately. Too used to banking or barrel rolling with Echo, so obviously flying off in the wrong direction, and indeed performing another one turn to try and get arc on either the bounty hunter or the Royal Guard pilot. So just at this stage, just deciding to risk it and try and barrel roll to a point where I can shoot at either the interceptor or the the Royal Guard pilot. And yeah, just rolling forward there. Excuse me. So just had a quick lunch break there, so I turned the lights on. It was getting a little bit gloomy, so just checking the range there as to whether or not Echo has a shot this turn, and I don't believe that was the case. I think it was a little bit far away, so obviously we're going for the bounty hunter at my interceptor at this point, and obviously with his interceptor and my interceptor not having a shot, as well as Echo not having a shot, so there we have using the evade token to prevent any damage getting through on the interceptor, and indeed here we have my bounty hunter firing at range 3 on Hamish's interceptor, and just rolling not quite enough damage, so no damage sneaking through that turn. So back to manoeuvres, obviously just helping Hamish out there with some manoeuvring, moving his bounty hunter, just doing a 2-turn, coming back into the fight as it were to get some more shots on Echo if possible, and indeed just taking the double focus from Recon Specialist. And we have my bounty hunter, obviously stressed from doing the K turn the previous turn, just doing a 2 forward to shed the stress, obviously, and just activating the Recon Specialist, I believe, was it? Or in fact actually taking the target lock at this point on the interceptor, as it was unlikely he was going to get shot at by either Hamish's interceptor or bounty hunter. And here we have my interceptor, Hamish's interceptor, just performing a one tight bank, just trying to, obviously still stress, so not managing to perform any actions, but just trying to outmaneuver Echo. Wasn't sure what Echo was going to be doing, so here we have my interceptor just performing a 2 straight. Now there is a asteroid hiding behind there, so just performing a wee boost just to try and get out and around the asteroid and back into the game. And here we have my Echo obviously didn't shoot last turn and performed a barrel roll, so didn't have a decloak action to perform, so here we have just performing a gentle 2 bank right into range 1 of the interceptor and the bounty hunter as well. So just obviously taking reconnaissance specialist, so once again really gives you the opportunity to be a bit more aggressive with your attacking, and hopefully throwing 5 dice at an interceptor, albeit one with a shield upgrade. And there we have using the focus to get 4 hits, and indeed Hamish rolling absolutely nothing but blanks and focuses, so the interceptor goes from 4 health to 0 health in a matter of seconds, and indeed it is looking much more dire for Hamish now. Obviously rolling his attack dice at range 1 of Echo and scoring 1 hit, and me rolling 2 evades and 2 focuses, indeed just spending the last focus just to make it 4 evades. And at this point in the game, Hamish decides that it's not really worth continuing and concedes the game. So Echo versus Echo Mirror, it's quite an interesting matchup. I do believe that Reconnaissance Specialist does make a huge difference on Echo. It allows you to be a bit more aggressive, and certainly in this particular matchup, not having initiative did make a bit of a difference. Just means that you do get the benefit of the doubt when moving last. So hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Thanks again.